It's my privilege now to introduce our next two speakers. Kathy Martin has been an art educator for over 30 years. She's passionate about sharing art and the role it plays in connecting people with communities, other cultures, and the natural world. She's currently the director of education at the Hockaday Museum of Art, where she manages and develops education programs that promote the museum's missions, including teaching children's art classes, bringing outreach programs to school, and working with other organizations to facilitate art partnerships. Mary Ellen Little Mustache is Blackfeet Piikuni traditional games instructor, working with International Traditional Game Society since 2008. She has worked to enhance family relationships since 1865, beginning with the child welfare investigator to teaching traditional games and other methods of positive life enhancement. Through difficult times, including the COVID pandemic and living through poverty, she's promoted Blackfeet art and culture, including teaching language, song, and food preservation. So welcome to our second two panelists.
So I'm going to talk first. Mary Ellen, I think, is going to get mic'd up. She's going to do a little interactive stuff with you folks towards the end here, because we all need to get up and move. So to begin with, first, I must acknowledge my elders in the Blackfeet tribe, because this program would not exist without them. I've worked at the museum over 18 years. And one of the first projects that I wanted to do, because I felt it was sadly lacking, was to do something with art, because it's an art museum where I work, that acknowledges and celebrates the people who came before us. And up in northwestern Montana, first thing that comes to mind, because we live in Flathead County, is, the people of the reservation there, the Salish, Kootenai, and Pend Oreille. But we also have a connection with the Blackfeet. We have a very special connection with Glacier National Park, and the Blackfeet territory is actually part of what is now Glacier National Park. So what we did is we went over to the Museum of the Plains Indian, and we met with the folks there, one of which was Darnell Wrights at the door. And she introduced me and my associates to a number of artists who could provide us with art that would tell the story, the culture, and the history of the Blackfeet and the Plains Indian in general, and the connections to show that it's a living culture and the people are still with us. One of the other people that I need to acknowledge is sitting up here. His name is Smokey Rides at the door. He's hiding up here. If you pick up the brochure at the entrance over here, you can see his picture, so you'll see him around. And many people of the tribe. Darnell shared with us actually the name that we have chosen, which is the Traveling Medicine Show. When we explained what our project was, that it was an outreach, taking art to schools and to community events, rather than expecting people to come to the museum. She said, that's like a traveling medicine show. We couldn't think of a better name. We tried. And so Darnell said, sure, go ahead and use it. That's why we are called the Traveling Medicine Show. As we've worked with different artists, we realized that this wasn't going to be a program that ended in 1 or 2 years. That was kind of our first idea. Was somebody said, we can get art and then it'll be part of the permanent collection. It kind of took on a life of its own. The project itself became more than just the art. It became the living stories of the artists and the people who have helped us over the years. Mary Ellen Little Mustache is one of those people. Wasn't there the first year, but as she came on board, one of the things I realized was we were calling everything by its English name. And how we were just learning about how language is so important to being part of a culture. And so Mary Ellen and her father and some of the elders that she knew helped us to get the names of all of these pieces that you see up here in Blackfeet. And so that's pretty special to us. We don't usually use all of the the words, but they're there and we can do that if we need to. The other thing that is really important is that we continue to work with people from the tribe to add to it and to help tell the stories from the appropriate perspective. Am I holding this too close? I'm hearing a bag thing here. Okay, a little bit too close. Is that better? Okay, sorry about that. So what I want to do to start with is just kind of walk you through a little bit of what we do with this program. It is available for schools. We've taken it to Zurich, Montana. We've taken it all kinds of places. We go down to Missoula. Mostly we hang out in Flathead County, but when people ask us to come, we want to share it with you. So one of our concepts is we wanted to talk about ancient traditions. So we asked that some parfleshes be created special for us. And if you don't know what those are, that's this. This is a parfleche. Thank you. And in Blackfeet, that would be sutsiman. Okay. So there's a word for you. It's made out of rawhide. There are 3 large ones. They're made extremely large so that the people in the back of the room can see. This is made from an elk hide. We have some smaller ones that Mary Ellen's going to hold up. These are not Blackfeet. Why do I have this in a display of Blackfeet art? Because we want to tell about the connections with other people. These are actually reproductions of a Cheyenne design. They look old. I do not have anything that's super old. A lot of the pieces are in fact reproductions. The parfleshes I have up here, the thing that's special about them, Richard Horn, who made them, he's been given the rights to do this in the traditional way. So he sings the songs, he collects things in the ancient traditions and does everything appropriately. No modern tools were used. No modern materials were used to create this. So this is created the same way his ancestors created them. Many of the objects up here are done in exactly that same way because we feel that that is very important for you all to be able to share. So this is not something that you would be able to buy as, the tourist trade because this is special. When Richard gave this to me, I said, so tell me about the paint. This is his extra paint. He's got a little shell in here. This is earth paint. He explained this. This is one of the things that I love to be able to share with people is it's not just about the art, it's the process. It's the things that go with it, the traditions, the respecting of the natural world around you. The giving thanks to the Creator for all that's been provided. So that's one of the things that we do with this program. And then we talk about how traditions have changed, how the tradition is still alive, but maybe things have been tweaked a little bit as there have been influences by other people from other tribes, those people coming out west and leaving those wagon trails. Different things like that. So all of the things that I have help reflect and tell that story. Different things that we have. I'm trying to find one. I never do this the same way twice. This is only part of the exhibit. So we bring this program as an exhibit to locations. We set it up. We do a program where myself and whoever, Mary Ellen, Smokey, whoever comes with me, they all decide kind of what we're going to talk about based on what our audience focus is, especially if it's a school. Sometimes it's be like, oh, we've been studying the buffalo. So we'll do it buffalo-centric. So we might have the little tiny buffalo toy. We talk about what else is buffalo. I have some lovely pictures, some some paintings that I didn't bring because I knew there'd be no place to hang them. So we got that. But we have the buffalo shield. Do you see the shield over here? We talk about that. This is another piece that was not made with any modern tools or materials. So the earth paint that's on there, that was all created. But you can see an influence by some of those other people. You can see part of a trade blanket there. So we can tell that history. We can roll things into modern day world. Okay, why is the shield important? How has its focus changed? And now, how is a shield used and what's it used for? I like to, when I'm working with kids especially, we'll pick some of the kids from the audience to help hold things up for us. And it becomes very interactive with them. We tell different kinds of stories. Sometimes we'll tell it from the modern going down. Some of you might recognize this. We've seen these, right? A lot of kids have made them. Where did the idea come from? Did you ever consider where the idea came from to make those little lizards? Well, I can tell you. Here it is. It is, in fact, something that has evolved from an old thing. We would call this an amulet. The idea is that when a baby is born, baby's special, how are you connected to mom, right? The umbilical cord. What happens with that little piece that gets hard and falls off? What does mom do with it? The old ways, it became part of this. It became your special little connection. There would have been probably a ceremony presenting this to the baby. This would have been made for the baby. So this is the little lizard. A lot of times, Blackfeet did lizards and snakes for boys. Sometimes girls got the lizards in the Blackfeet culture, or they might get a turtle. There are some other Plains Indian tribes that have this same thing, little tweaking different, maybe not exactly the same, but very similar. And again, that's a part of how we introduce not just the Blackfeet culture, but the other surrounding cultures where they have translated things. I can't get too close to you. It's you. If I get too close to you, you're echoing off of me. Do you want to add anything to what I've said, Mary Ellen, up here?
If I start talking, I'm not going to stop.
I know. That's how come I got to go first. And I'm not quite sure where I want to go with this because there's so much to talk
A
about.
stand-up war
Oh.
bonnet.
That's it. I wanted to talk about medicine. The other reason we call this the traveling medicine show is because what is medicine good for? Making you feel better, right? Getting you well. So there's a lot of different kinds of medicine. There's the kind of medicine, the natural herbs and things like that that make us feel well physically. But there's also mental health, and there's also just our whole well-being. And so knowledge to me is a very powerful medicine. And so that's the other reason we thought that Traveling Medicine Show was a very important name to kind of keep. And Mary Ellen, I'm going to hold on to this and let you talk a little bit about it.
Has anybody ever heard of the city Medicine Hat, Alberta? No. That is in our territory. And the story goes that there was a chief. They were having a battle right in the river valley there, right in the river. And that chief went down and he held up his war bonnet. So then he knew he was going to go down and he didn't want his war bonnet to go down with him. So one of the other warriors came along and picked up that hat. And that became a very famous story. So that was traveled down the years and was interpreted into Medicine Hat. In Blackfoot, we call these straight up war bonnets matomi-san. Matomi is the word for first or original or the beginning. Now, if you look at the Blackfeet flag today, we were gifted from the Lakota tribe what we call the Sioux war bonnet, and that is depicted on our flag. But originally that was the Blackfeet style. And so when we say Matomit Sam, like the word Sam is the same word that we use for the war bonnet. So the Sam, it's the medicine, it's the thing that we use to make us feel better, and the power that we take into war. And as you look at these beings here, how they're painted and everything that goes in, that's a picture from the Indian relay. And today we say that's one of the ultimate in games. So that's the pinnacle.
I'm gonna. Okay, so all of these things we have on display, there'll be a few minutes transition between things if you want to get a closer look. We'll leave them up here. There's some things in the back as well. We're going to quietly put them away after our session, or maybe after the next session so we don't interrupt them. But we wanted you to know we didn't bring a slideshow because one of the things that we wanted to do with our program is not have a slideshow. The whole purpose of our traveling medicine show is people can see the real thing. We're not looking at pictures in a book. We're not looking at slides. We're looking at the real thing, and we get to look at it very close up. Even if we don't let everybody touch it, you can look at it really close because we do want to keep it for a long time. I'm going to let Mary Ellen kind of start her thing because I think we're in our 15-minute zone here. She's going to kind of transition into how this works. We actually do a lot of interactive things when I bring this to schools. Sometimes we'll do art projects. Sometimes we'll do stories. Smokey will help work with kids. There are a number of other people that I work with. Some of these particular pieces in this thing were actually gifted to the program by some of our helpers because they wanted to help tell the story with things that they've made, tools, materials they've provided. So I really want to acknowledge all those people from the Blackfeet tribe, both sides of the border, who have helped us to put this together to make this a living project. Hey, Mary Ellen, it's all yours.
Okay. Nistuanakok nawaksaki. Minok tu hapatsipikani ki amskapipikani. Hello, my name is Tobacco Pod Woman, and I come from both Piikuni tribes that were separated by the border. My father was from the Canadian side and my mother was from the American side. So if any of you got to see my logo on my purse back there, all my life I've been going back and forth in front of that Chief Mountain. And I believe I will do that for the rest of my life. I have just as many relatives on both sides, and I conduct my life on both sides. So when a buffalo bull is dead and gone and there's nothing else left of him, this is what's left. In Blackfoot, we call it bokun. Now, to get even this, you would find it on a prairie, maybe, walking along the prairie if you're walking in the right place. This was gifted to me by a lady named Peggy. She was from the Crow tribe, and we were teaching down there. I work with the International Traditional Game Society, and I have my own business as well. That is a nonprofit for society. And then with the Piikuni Traditional Society, it has been all for like just getting the jobs as we can, so we don't go through any of those government mishmash. And so we just deal directly with people. And so they gave me 15 minutes. 15 minutes is not even going to scratch the surface. It is called, it starts out like a cat hairball. You know how the hairballs in your belly? And so the people that harvest these, look for these kind of balls, they would have a really stink job. They'd have to, go all through the guts because this is embedded right in the guts. So this Peggy, she called, there was about 5 of us teachers. She called us to her house that evening, and she brought this box, and they brought it to me. I guess I was the eldest or the prettiest or something. But they brought it to me. And so, of course, I took the biggest, best one. And if you look at how exact the chambers are on it, but this would have been covered in a leather casing and stuffed with buffalo hair and used for the game of shinny. Has anybody ever been hit by a hockey puck? We say that the game of shinny is the grandfather of hockey. And so, like when we're talking about the process, I've just brought a few things, and if you look at the detail on some, especially the lacrosse sticks that are back there, they were gifted to me. I mean, not gifted. I made a legal trade with a Lakota, Jeremy Red Eagle, and he makes those, and he does such a beautiful job. You'll see his mark on those, but it's a different kind of a tree. And so in my life, the teaching games came so naturally. My whole life has been a cycle. I watch for I listen for the first thunder. I listen, that's when the spring begins. And then we go on to the different, and as the seasons go by, we're always thinking about the medicines that we need. And as I'm collecting the sticks for the traditional games, and when I'm carving them, when you take off that top layer of the tree, that is the outer bark. But that inner bark, and we use a lot of berry plants because they're so strong. The Saskatoon the Sabbathberry, I have to change my language when I come to Canada, come to US. I was just over picking choke cherries over in Canada. But so when we look at the processes of things, and the traditional games were our education. My dad went from beautiful traditional life to the boarding school. My grandpa in Montana, the same thing with him. And so as a result, my grandfather told my mom not to teach us how to speak Blackfoot. And that was a command from the grandfather. But because of all the people speaking around us, we were able to manage. And so in 2008, when I first attended a traditional games clinic, and I encourage everyone to go. Once you go, you'll never want to leave. Once you get working with those sticks, talking to the people, and then like that's why I mentioned COVID. My dad passed away just before COVID, and it was in a high blizzard, and we couldn't bring him home. We had to bring him to the community building because it was too high. I mean, the snow was too bad. And so, and I looked in the back of my truck, and all I saw was this big container of games. So somebody said, should I take this? I was unloading my truck. Everybody was taking all the food in and everything. And I said, yeah, bring that in. So they brought it in. And when I opened it, everybody was, really curious to see what I had brought in my pack. And I start pulling out these trees and these different things. And then pretty soon I pulled out that one. It's called Ring on the Stick. The song that goes with it comes directly from my great grandmother. Istitotpodaki. Istitotpodaki had a dog with a ring around his eye. That's why there's a dog on that back field. That came from, on that back table. She named him Ring. The word for ring is sapikisoksatsis. With the S at the end, it's the object. So when you're getting married, that S, that's the object. Everybody try it. Beak, e, soch, satsis. Okay, so when I take the game and I put the ring on the floor and it's connected to a stick, and there's a special way that we measure the sticks and we put everything together. When I put that down and I lift it up and I say, Sapikisoksatis. But then I thought, well, this is becoming a command. So we change that S at the end to a T. And we say, Sapikisoksatit, Sapikisoksatit, Sapikisoksatit. So when we hear these sounds, and then I start to practice, and I can hear my little grandchildren, they're starting to go, all those kind of sounds. And I really make them emphasize it because I want that part of their mouth to feel it. And there's things about us, not only our mouths, but our whole bodies. We were complete individuals. We didn't need the residential school. We didn't need paper. We didn't need pens. We could talk to each other. And specifically in our games, we have this one particular game. It's called the Stone People's Lodge. And that's a storytelling game where people learn how to listen, learn how to sit, learn how to pay attention. And I just thank you all for coming. Okay. Okay, could everybody stand? Put your papers on the table and get your drums working. Stretch. Give me a good stretch. Stand on your tippy toes. Okay, I'm going to teach you some more Blackfoot words. Now I said in the springtime, I listened for the thunder, the first thunder. I'll tell you a really quick story. Napi is our trickster. Napi is our creator's helper. And so this song, it's called Napi Otopim, and that means Napi's rainbow. Well, this one time, the Blackfeet were really, really having it rough. They were getting attacked by the thunder, and they were getting hailed on and flooded out and everything. And so they called on Napi. We didn't usually like to call on Napi because he knew too much. So we called on him. Hi, Napi, Spomokit, help us. Spomokinan, help all of us. And then so Napi, he roused himself and he got up, came and looked at the situation. He always had a bag of tricks hanging on his belt. So he reached in his bag of tricks and he pulled out his rainbow, his rope, and it was the rainbow. So this song, it goes, Mochsanatsi is red, Gomaninatsi is purple, Utsquinatsi is blue, Sesquimaquinatsi is green, and then I go napiotopim, and then Utquinatsi is yellow, Otquinatsi is orange, and then we go back to Mochsanatsi. So I want everybody, if you don't have any song coming up through here, just move your mouth. Just try it and get your hands going. Even if you have to snap above your head, do something. That's what the traditional games are all about, getting people to move. Moksen Nazi, Gomani Nazi, Otskwi Nazi, Saskimakwi Nazi, Napi Otopi, Napi Napi Otopi, Napi Otopi, Napi Napi Otopi, Napi Otopi, Napi Otopi. Otwi Nazi, Otwi Nazi, Moksen Nazi, Napi Otopi, Napi Otopi, Napi Napi Otopi, Napi Otopi, Napi Napi Otopi, Napi Otopi, Napi Otopi. Now this next part. Nitsukita mita. That means I'm really happy. If I said nitsukita mi, if I said nitsuta mitak, it would mean I'm happy. But when I say nitsukita mitak, I'm really happy. Nitsukita mitak, napi otopi. Nitsukita mitak. Napi otopi, napi otopi, napi otopi.
Thank you so much to our presenters. Thank you. That was wonderful.